It's that tea and milk thing, isn't it, in the flask?
Yeah. And that was everything in this soup.
The idea for Bog Standard came from being in work and being on the toilet sometimes, a lot, and just writing about the strange sort of things people do in toilets. Some people are very quiet, they're like ninjas, they want to be in and out of there, they don't want to necessarily hear what their colleagues sound like. Other people go in having full-blown conversations, and I thought there's a short film in here somewhere.
I met Colin in a pub. I think it's one of these Vision Media networking events, and they actually work. And I got chatting to Cole, and he said there and then they had this script for a short film about a toilet. Colin told me about Manhattan and how it had taken him about 3 years, and he didn't have a producer, so he was doing everything himself. And so I came on board to kind of help him with all the organising and promoting.
The biggest thing we made was an attempt at an independent feature film called Manhattan, and we were in New York for part of that. And then we thought, well, the script's big enough to warrant a feature. Why does no one make feature films on their own? And then we quickly found out why, because it's a monumental task. Once all the fun stuff, the filming was done, I was then left to edit the film and also produce and post-produce, market, all that kind of stuff. And that took a good 2 years, which sort of shows how much time all that kind of stuff takes. So I made a short film called Karma after that, just to kind of get back on my feet, write my own stuff. But that never really, again, didn't have the time to sort of go and do anything with that. So for this one, I was adamant that I wanted to see it go somewhere, for it to do something. And I need a producer to help with all the organising, the advertising, the post-production. I bumped into Chris and said, what is it a producer does? And he says, writing, call sheets, advertising, emails, organising. I love all that kind of stuff. And I thought, yeah, he's going to be good, because I hate all that kind of stuff. And we went from there. After the Never Drink Again, I just imagine that as a little after fart. That's what that was for. So
Yeah.
Just a little cheeky. Oh, never drinking again.
Till lunchtime.
Yeah. I wrote what I thought was an easy short film set in a toilet. I thought, how difficult can this be? It's 10 minutes, it's one location. And straight away you work out the logistics of it. Well, there's going to be a door on the toilet, so we've got to find someone there that's going to let us take the door on and off repeatedly. We're going to have lights in there, and obviously running water most of the time, which don't mix from a safety point of view, so we need somewhere where we can turn the water off. To do so much damage straight away on location, we were a bit stumped.
When you approach people and ring round and say, I'm looking for a toilet, a majority of people just think it's a joke, and that happened quite frequently. I sent out a press release saying, local filmmakers seek out bog standard location. So we sent the press release out, looking for a location. That resulted in, I was interviewed for BBC Manchester on the radio, and then we got an article in Manchester Evening News as well, and we were also on DM Digital.
It turns out they went a satellite TV channel called DM Digital, which I think it does go out over here, but it goes out mainly to Pakistan. So the merits of Chris and Mike asking someone in Pakistan for a toilet for us to film in might not have been the best, but it was all good publicity.
So in the end, we ended up going with the Soapworks. The good thing about the Soapworks was that we could take the door off, which we wouldn't have been able to do if it was like a premise that was still in use.
And the place was epic, absolutely huge, to the point where we're walking around there and it's like, we could make so many different films in here, and we're using a toilet. We're using a space this big. But the place was amazing. As soon as we saw it, the organisers were really, really helpful, and they gave us free reign of the place.
Seriously, this isn't funny. Making piles of it.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Cole?
Cleaning the tops of the toilets. I neglected to cast anyone in that role, so I just did myself.
Where's Mike?
Michael Justice, he is a very good friend of my better half, Hazel Earl, who's also a professional actress. And Hazel had an audition one day for a film, but she needed someone to read with her. So she got Mike down for the day, and we did a bit of filming. And what really impressed me with Mike that day was that he came down to help out a friend with an audition, and he did so much work that day, and he gave so much in that reading, and he wasn't even in the shot, it was anything to do with him. And I thought, for a guy to do that, and it's not even for his audition or for anything that he's got a chance of being in or anything like that, and to do it so well. He's a guy I want to work with. So it might sound a bit wishy-washy, but it wasn't just because of his acting. It's because he's the kind of guy that I saw he was when he was working. And it's like, they're the kind of people you want to surround yourself with. They're the kind of people you want in a team.
Hold on, continuity.
I was saying
There we
before,
go.
I had the choice between writing
Are you sure?
this film
Check.
or
Nope.
one with
It wasn't
lots of
I don't think that's that
gangsters,
shot anyway, is it?
Are they-
beautiful women, fast cars, drugs,
Taking
money.
your
But
chances, you keep getting up
I
and
thought that sounded
I know it will.
to be honest. So we're making this instead.
Oh, I didn't do a continuity shot with you.
Colin sent me the rough cut, which he'd recorded with Anthony, who took the photos for BOG Standard as well. And it was interesting.
You've seen one toilet, you've seen them all. So we just put a camera around different places, tried out different shots, had some photographs of Anthony, forced him to act in front of the camera. But I could take all those shots, so like 50 different camera positions, I could play around with him and edit, read the script and see what worked where and what timings and stuff, and then we'd use that as a basis to plan the actual shoot on the day.
In some places it was just like a static shot of Anthony with his hands up like that, or so it's a bit Lauren and Hardy-esque. But it gave a good impression of how long the film was going to be, what we needed, and it was good because you could show it to actors as well and guide them through it and say, this is what we're making, and everyone had a clear idea.
Where'd you go, Mike?
It was very quick for you. Sorry.
Thanks. That's something no one else here knew, but thanks anyway.
This film, it's told mostly via Mike's internal dialogue, which is only in his head, and he has the occasional external line to say on set.
Great. Can't dash anywhere now. It'll be ages.
That was a cock up. Originally, Colin had, I don't really know what his plan was. He had a thing recorded on PSP.
A movie file on the PSP, which also had the rough angles, so we knew what shot we were shooting for which line. Play through a guitar amp.
It was kind of his voiceover which was recorded, but then he was doing it too slowly on the toilet, and it just didn't work.
One and... Shit!
So in the end, Colin had to read back the lines to him so that he could respond there and then.
We all agreed straight away that myself reading the lines gave Mike someone as opposed to something to react against.
Ugh. I have a warm toilet seat too. I hate the mixture that goes with a warm toilet seat.
It's a silly idea. Colin's worst ideas.
Timing.
Yeah, all the cameras turn up all of a sudden.
On the Saturday, the aim was to shoot all the Mike stuff on the toilet. And I did feel a little bit sorry for him because he was literally on the shitter all day. And then I think he had to be, he spent some time on the loo on Sunday as well. So it was like 48 hours on the loo, which, sorry Mike.
Like making a joke. I keep wanting to fart whenever we fart on the set because we're all working.
That's your authenticity.
Is that your bit you farted? By egging me on the fart, you feel like it makes the fact you farted acceptable. Quality.
And meeting people like Chris as producer, I bumped into a few other people that I knew I'd want to be involved in the crew. First of all was a chap called Paul Anderton. He's done a lot of camera work, a lot of writing and directing his own stuff. Showed him the script, he was really, really enthusiastic about it, and Paul was a fantastic director of photography. He's really good at lighting. So for me, even though I was sort of writing and directing it, well, I was also getting a lot out of working with professional actors in such a big crew. First film I had a makeup lady on in the form of Ellie Jameson. Learnt loads about continuity and sort of the importance of having that on board, because I'd never been able to, well, I assumed I could never afford a makeup artist on a film before, so to have one for the first time made me realise that's another critical part of the crew that you had to have in place. So with Paul and Ellie in place, it immediately felt like a much more professional shoot. Then we had my brother Daniel down as a runner and a chap called Leo Warren, who's now working at the BBC. Both really keen guys, and they were around as cameras, grip, sound. Chris was obviously organising the whole day, producing it, keeping sure of the schedule, making sure everyone got fed, all that kind of stuff, and also filmed the behind the scenes documentaries.
So I got home and I had to ring the others like, you've got my house keys, I'm locked out of my house. I had to wait for Hazel to get home from work to let me in. Don't be called that. I started off telling a funny story. Halfway through, there was no humorous punchline. I was just filling the silence.
It's alright, I'll edit it.
Watch back. Covered in piss.
Yes, one of the crew members, Daniel, kept disappearing. I never knew where he was. And it turns out that he's into urban exploration.
Because he's into this urban exploration where it's about checking out abandoned sort of buildings or building sites, underground cave sewer systems, and taking photographs of it. But the rest of the time he'd be on the roof or in the basement or taking pictures of stuff. So we got some amazing photographs of the day, and some of the shots are fantastic. But he should have been on set pulling his weight at the end of the day. He wasn't. I'd work with him again, but I'd probably have to get like one of those bands or tags or something. If he goes over a certain radius away from the base, it electrocutes him.
So what are we doing now, Cole?
We are transforming cubicle A by the power of television into cubicle B. The power of television is an arcane magical process, but you can't actually be allowed to see it. So what we instead do is distract you with misdirection by rearranging lights and that kind of thing, when really there's a small wizard performing said magic of television in the background. So that using the same cubicle for logistical reasons as the second cubicle. So we're just changing the lights around. Because our intrepid hero John makes his escape from the treacherous cubicle A into the warmer seated cubicle B, where his adventure continues.
Colin Paul never stopped talking about techie bollocks. They were just excited about it being tapeless and all this. And they kept just, having a little discussion, mother's meeting, while we were trying to get through the schedule.
Oh, Chris had a bee in his bonnet about what he calls technical stuff, which the rest of us call filmmaking. So, he'd be tapping his watch when myself and Paul are working out the best place to put the lights and the camera settings and making sure, we've copied the cards to the computer properly. And he just thought we were having a good old techie, what do they call it, mother's meeting or something? You can't have a go, right? Because he'd be telling us we were taking too long about technical stuff, and then at one point he was there with his behind the scenes camera, which is only a little punter cam, but it had the loudest motor noise on it in the world. So every time we're doing a scene, you just hear me of his behind the scenes footage. So eventually we had to tell him to do one.
It's brilliant. How do I get in?
Mike, where's that?
Oh, sorry.
This is basically, as a kid, you just spend all your time trying to build dens. This is what it evolves into.
To be fair, it was quite exciting to have a crane on board, and the logistics of it all as well, because it's such a small space. It's like swinging it around and getting the shot. I found that quite exciting.
We had lots of tea on set, and I think everyone took turns making the tea. Has to be said, Ellie made the best tea of everyone when she didn't spill it all over the makeup desk.
It is not funny, alright?
As long as you put on this is the first shot we see of her, and while she's mopping up drinks, you put Ellie Jameson.
Funny.
Makeup.
Stop it.
So how many times have you done this today, Ali?
Twice.
What time is it?
12 o'clock. Stop it, it's not funny.
Of each other, and it was brilliant. Luckily, everyone's a bunch of jokers. Myself and Chris, we were the ones doing any hard work, and everyone got on really, really well. To the point where we've gone on to do other things since, and the same bunch of people, we keep coming back together to work with each other, which I think is the nicest thing ultimately to come out of this film. That myself, Chris, Paul, Ellie, Leo, Dan, Anthony, Mike, we all seem to find ourselves working on the same things again, because we know we can all get on well with each other and do the job that needs to be done. And that all started on BOG Standard, which is great.
What?
I think you should do that to the camera.
What?
I know, that really is shit. First, Mike would like to do something to
I'm not singing.
Go on, do it. Body form advert. Oh, go on, sing the body form advert.
Did you see? They're all catchy.
At first I was a bit worried about Scotty being involved in BOG Standard, because originally Cole did kind of want to get all his mates kind of on board, and I said we should push out and get these actors. But Scotty, his mate from school, remained in the production, which I had to go with Cole's word at the end of the day, that he was good enough. And he was quite funny, so I'll give him that.
And then Scotty turned up, and of course he had not been on anything since Manhattan. He was only in one scene in that, and that was filmed hungover in Mr. Sifter's record shop. So, you know, that was his experience of a film set with me to that point. And of course he turns up, and it was quite nice actually. He turns up and he was a bit bowled over by the lights, the crew, the makeup lady, the DOP, the track, the crane, and he was like, I've walked onto a proper film set. And I was like, I told you, I do this stuff properly these days.
What is it?
This is the most crucial part of the film, where we're going to frame Mike's bottom.
The shot of Mike, we only had people in there who needed to be in there, so I think, because when he drops his pants, it's like, I think Cole was behind him with the camera, and I think Leo might be there, and then a couple of actors, but we had no more people on set than we had to.
So Mike, being the complete pro, he was like, look, if the other actors are fine with it, I'll just do it. You know, that's what, I'm an actor, that's what I do, so we'll just do it. So of course, all on set throughout the day, we're making jokes about the inevitable R shot and the eyeful everyone else is going to get.
Oh yeah.
Which shot is this? Bum shot.
The bum shot.
Has to be the day with all the girls on set.
Which is the bum shot for the camera and the crew. Unfortunately for you lot, it's a lot more than that.
Yeah. Put on.
We couldn't get any kind of flappage that would work, so.
How long did you get you a jock thing, a little cover, but
Sorry.
I've got a jock strap, I'm wearing a jock strap now.
That's not what I thought you were going to
it's like, how long's your slung? I've only just met you. My God.
He knew what he'd signed up for. I knew what I was making him do, but of course on the day it was like, okay, final shot of the film, you drop your pants. From the back we're only going to see your bum, but whoever's in front is going to get an eyeful of all the rest as well. Luckily for Mike, at the very last minute, he was wearing a jockstrap cup for most of the filming, which you can't see in the main shots, but he somehow found a way that without chafing himself he could hike the straps up so they weren't seen but still have the cup at the front. So yeah, we managed to get the shot without Scotty, Tigger and Chris Douglas getting an eyeful of Mike Justice, the full Mike Justice.
Perfect. And basically these are just the single shots for the characters, so all I need you to do, I'll keep shooting, you just select a pose for me. Whatever you like, staying in your character.
It's, well, in terms of like publicity, if you haven't got stills, you can't do anything, you know. And I still see, you know, films from friends and that, but they don't have enough stills. You just need to take, I mean, Anthony took hundreds, you know, and we selected the best, I don't know, 20, 25. And on the press kit, I had like 5 or 6 stills. And they get repeated everywhere, and people see the same image. And they go, oh, right, that's that film about the toilet.
Anthony's obviously been around me filming for years, so he knows his way around the film crew. He knows when to get the cheeky shot, when you think you might not. He knows when to actually keep the camera quiet during the take and all that kind of stuff, you know, turn the flash off. Knows what would be interesting afterwards from an artistic point of view, you know, some really candid shots of, you know, that just tell interesting pictures, or people just having a little joke or a little moment between them. He got hundreds of those snaps, and they were really, really good. At one point at the end of the day, I was packing up all the gear, getting some still shots of the toilet when it was empty. And everyone's like, oh, we've just been on the roof, the view of Manchester's amazing, oh, it's this and that, the sunset's amazing. And I was like, when did everyone go to play out on the roof? And no one told me. So at one point, Chris, Paul, Dan, Mike all legged it up to the roof, took some amazing photographs, and just left me, Ellie and Leo to pack up everything, the bastards. In Paul's rubbish defence, he said, I was getting some GVs in Manchester that you might be able to cut in the film, but the film didn't allow any room to cut away from the toilet. But he says he was doing it for the benefit of the team, but I just think they were pissing about.
Any of you?
Everyone get out the
I've seen the pub in 5 minutes, yeah?
Without hitting the barrier, which I've just done, and there's a big scratch in the front of my car.
What? Where?
I'm not sure how Cole crashed his car when we were leaving, because it was an empty car park.
All right. I shouldn't get as much stick for this as I did, because I came clean about it, but I did crash my car on the last day in an empty car park.
Big yellow thing there. I was reversing, but I underestimated the turning circle. That's alright. I think it kind
You
of
filmed a scratch on the car.
What you need?
I think there must be a certain amount of skill in that, a certain amount of merit, I don't know.
Seen it all.
Yeah. Just another Sunday
When you
morning.
made my business, isn't it?
Salford College and Transport, that's what it is.
Cleaned as many toilets as I've cleaned. Seen everything.
Working with Cole was an absolute nightmare. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Now, working with Cole was pretty good. I think we got a good range of skills between us, which is what you need in a producer-director kind of combo.
We get on very well and we have an understanding of what each of us does. It's not a team where we literally say, well, that's your stuff, that's my stuff, and box it off. There's constant communication across everything. But it's just great having someone who can do all that kind of stuff for you and help you out when you need that help. You know, you both got the same vision, you both know where you've got to get to, you both know where you've got to finish. And we both know what we've promised everyone in the team around us. You know, we've told all these guys who've given up their time for free that we're going to deliver a film.
It's just a well-organised shoot, I think.
You're only as good as what the last person you work with has to say about you. And we just, you know, both be completely honest with everyone we work with. And we've delivered on everything we said we would. And, you know, all the people we've worked with, we love to work with since. Some of them we have, and you know, hopefully they'd love to work with us again. And I don't think you can ask for much more than that from a film, actually.
And so, yeah, hopefully we're making something else soon, which isn't toilet related.